so here we go with the pine tar soap. Hopefully y'all will be able to see everything. I have got my oils here all meltified. My lime milk mix is ready to go, and it is still goat milk. Everything I do is goat milk. It's easy for me to work with, blah, 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 yada, yada. This is just my way of making pine tar soap. That doesn't necessarily make it the only way or the right way. There's a couple of good recipes out there. Soaping 101 has one. I think, and she's got a whole video on how to do it, kind of like this one. I'm just making sure the last of my shea butter is good and melty here. But, and this is all we're using. There'd be no stick blender. This one moves really quick, so be forewarned. The pine tar is, I usually get it at Tractor Supply. You can order it online. I think Jeffers.com has it. A lot of feed stores carry it. You just want to make sure that it doesn't say anything about creosote. You want creosote free. It comes just like a little can of paint, little paint can. Just pop it off with a knife or flathead screwdriver. You'll notice mine is sitting here in a little dish of warm water just to get it more fluid. Let me actually scoot this out of the way, because it makes it easier to work with if it's a little more fluid. Poke at my milk. It's not quite mixed all the way. I see a lot of times, and often it's one of those, are you paying attention? Here it is. I see this question a lot. How can you tell with lye and milk if the lye is all the way dissolved? Well, it's just like stirring tea or coffee. When you can't feel the grit anymore, anything that you would put sugar in, like Kool-Aid. When you can't feel that grit in the bottom anymore from the lye, it's done. It's dissolved. So we'll zero that out. From my handy dandy tool room. So the way I do things is I get my oils nice and hot, zero out the scale, tear it out. And see, this actually probably would pour in there, but just in case, I get a little overzip it. With mine, I don't add any fragrance oils or essential oils. The pine tar has its own smell. That's just, you're not going to get around it. Pine tar has an odor. It is what it is, what it is. It's really not bad. It's not great, but it's not bad. We do have horses as well as the goats. I use it on the horses. I mix up my own little concoction of stuff for their feet, because that's what this is really for. So whenever they have cracked hooves or a little bit of thrush going on, I paint this on there, and we'll put that there, and fixes them right up. And I can say that much. From a horse perspective, it fixes a lot as far as their feet go. So I guess I'll go put this in the thing. Don't forget later to whack your top back on all the way. I won't do it now just because I've got lye and everything out. But anyways, what I do is as follows. You saw the tar, which was really mostly liquid at that point. It wasn't really like solid gloppy goopy. Go into the oils. The oils are warm as well. I might have to hit pause and come back. They might be too warm. It's hard for me to tell because it is cool in this house. Give that a little poke. but without messing it up. One-handed. Okay, there you are. That's it. See, it's still oil consistency. There's no chunks, no glops. It's already melted. So it helps to have that pine tar just in warm water. You know, don't worry about microwaving it or double boiling it or nothing frou-frou. And then put it straight in there. As far as the recipe goes, like I was saying, there are plenty of places that have lots of great recipes. Spring 101 has a recipe. There we go. I've seen a few other places on the internet that have recipes. I just use my own recipe. There we go. Just my regular recipe. I don't change anything. What I do, well, I do change it a little bit, but I don't change like the percentages on the oils or any of that. Instead of adding fragrance, I add the pine tar. So if it would call for 1 ounce of fragrance, I double it. I add 2 ounces of pine tar. Reason being, I've seen different things online, you know, percentages of pine tar to use in your soap. And if you go to Brambleberry's lye calculator at brambleberry.com, they do include pine tar on theirs. For me, it was easier, and it remains easier, to, it's 1:15, so I'll let it cool down just a second while I talk to y'all. I really don't like soaping hot. Like, this is, you never see me soap this warm. And this one moves quick, so we're going to let it cool down just a little. Anyways, they do include pine tar, all that good stuff on their thing. But for me, it was easier just to modify the fragrance portion of my recipe, if that makes any sense. So instead of, you know, redoing the whole thing, I took notes, basically, and changed it up. What I do is I double the fragrance amount, and I lower the superfat. So instead of superfatting, and I still soap, not necessarily full liquid, I could put a little more in there, but I don't discount it any more than I already do. I go about middle of the road. I don't use the least you can use. I don't use the most you can use. You know, if the recipe calls for, and if you use, what is that, MMS, the sage, I think is the one that I use that pulls, you know, a range. It'll say 14 to 18 ounces of liquid, and I'll go in the middle with like 17. Works. Or 16. But it also pulls me a range on the superfat, so I drop my superfat to 4. Just to kind of compensate a little bit for the extra goo. But I don't change anything else. You know, so if my recipe calls for 1 ounce of fragrance, instead of doing fragrance, no fragrance, I use 2 ounces of pine tar. And if I normally soap at like an 8% superfat, I drop it to 4. But that's all that I do. I don't do anything different, else, frou-frou, whatever. This will be my first time making it in the Kelsey mold. I'm going to use the Kelsey mold. It's part of like a new theme that I'm working on for spring, if you will. But I bet that cooled off a little bit. It is chilly in my house. But yeah, I don't stress over it. I don't worry about it. It just is what it is. I don't think this one fits on there. No. So, oops, I have to wipe that up. I got a lye on the table. Good thing it's a cheap plastic table, right? So, in with the goat milk, in with the lye. Same as always, straining my milk and lye mix to get all the little lumpy clumpies out. Especially now, because I'm not using the stick blender. That's the other thing I do different. I absolutely do not use my stick blender when I do this one. It's not even out here. Remove the temptation. This one moves fast. Like turbo fast, I said. So, clearly didn't bring enough paper towels. It does have an odor. I've seen videos where people like soaping outside. It really doesn't bother me, but it does have an odor. And I don't know that even curing that, going through the whole saponification process, to me it's still there. It's not as strong. It definitely goes away and gets a little bit lighter after, oops, there's a clump in there. It definitely gets a little bit lighter after you've got it turned into soap. But it doesn't go away. So then, and I'm kind of watching the timer on the camera, take your whisk and just whisk. No stick blender. Resist. Don't do it. You can feel it getting thick in there, but just kind of do it like pancake batter a little bit. Whip it up. Move it around. Let's see if I can pull it up without my hand in the way, or without getting my big head in the way. You can kind of see it coming up thick. See it getting thick down there? And changing color. It does get just a tad lighter as you start to get it blended together. So, hopefully I was able to hold that pretty well still. So you could kind of see it change color a little bit. Yay! There, I propped that up. Okay. And you really want to go for that thick trace feeling with it. On the flip side, you don't want to go too thick. And I don't know how good I'm going to get this part necessarily on camera. Can you kind of see the way it's dripping off of there? Has lightened up a couple shades. Definitely thick like pudding. You just want to be sure you have it really well incorporated so it doesn't separate in the mold. And it has been seriously like 2.5 minutes of hand stirring. That's really not bad. So then, still moving fast. Like seriously, once you stop, it goes hard. I hate working with this bowl because it doesn't have any good grips on it. I mean, it looks just like some kind of cake or pudding right now. And it will get a little warm. But I don't know if you can see how quick it goes there from loose to pudding. I mean, just that quick. See, this is something I was never very good at, was like patting a cake down into the like brownies. Not real good at making stuff even. So I know I'm going to have a couple that are little squatty body bars that I can do for samples or whatever. But that's okay. But just that quick. It gets hard. Not quite seizing. It's definitely not a seize. That's different. trying to get it leveled out because I can tell this corner right here is not as tall as the rest of it. There we go. And I was going to do it smooth on the top, but I don't know. As long as you keep moving, you can do all kinds of stuff with it. I'm sure, you know, like creative little tall tops and stuff. But okay, so I need to grab a towel and quit poking at it. I'm going to take it and whack it down over here. I had like one little air bubble come up. I knew I wouldn't get a bunch. So with the Kelsey mold, you have long and short, the 18 bar mold at least, okay? Because there's others. But with the 18 bar mold, you have your long and short dividers. Take your long dividers in first. And you can feel how thick this has gotten already. How hard it is in there. And then your squatty body short dividers go in. Like so. And I'll include a link to her website in case anybody's looking for one. You tell her Bobby from Not a Lot of Ranch sent you. She'll take care of y'all. She really will. She's a great lady. And voila, that's it. It's done. So there it is. The one other thing I'm going to do, prop that back up, is cover it with saran wrap. And then I'm going to slide it in the oven, which all I've got going on over there is the lights on. Just to keep it a little warmer. Force the issue with gel a little bit. Not much. It's warm enough. I think it'll handle itself, really. And that's it. And when we unmold it, we'll be back.